Hello, I'm Daniel. Today I want to talk about a teaching that is don't get stuck on peace. Don't get stuck on peace. That is the name of this teaching from the lojong slogans. And don't get stuck on peace is how I want to refer to it. Other people have referred to it as liberate yourself from the antidote, which to me, that's not a very helpful way to express what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is this. Sometimes people, when they get on a spiritual path and they start to see things clearly and they start to see, not everything is as separate from everything else as I thought. Start to see that, things are impermanent and we're often in delusion. We're not seeing things clearly. Sometimes when people start to understand that, they start to maybe see themselves as really sort of separate from the rest of the world. Sort of like, I am a spiritual person. So those people that aren't spiritual, well, they're not like me, right? So we may have this tendency to start to think we are better than other people or think we're separate from or above other people. And that is not the path that I want to suggest. The path I suggest is what we call the Bodhisattva path or the awakened being path. And it's a way to be in the world, not a way to cut ourselves off from the world, but a way to be in the world. And if your spiritual practice is just making you more and more like a robot, more and more separate emotionally and mentally from the world around you, that's not what I think we want to do. I think that's not what we want to do here. We want to be open, vulnerable, and awake in the world, not separate from it. In the world, not separate from it. Sometimes it's called the poison of emptiness when people get caught up just thinking, okay, well, everything's impermanent, nothing matters. Everything's impermanent, so nothing matters. Or, if you just start to feel nothing because you're trying to learn how to feel things, how to not have bad feelings, and you come to a point in your life where you're just feeling nothing, well, that's the poison of emptiness. That's not what we want. Rather, we want to be wide open and vulnerable. Wide open and vulnerable. So we want to see the impermanent, interconnected, and dreamlike nature of reality, but even that can become a point of attachment and struggle for us very easily. We can't get excited about the illusory and empty nature of reality. That's not something we can maintain, even if we try. Don't try. Getting excited about where this path is taking us can be a real problem. It's just like making a concept out of it, making a new thing for us to attach to. And so it can be easy to have sort of spiritual experiences and just make rigid belief systems out of those. People have been doing that for all of history, but this is not about beliefs. Once we have beliefs, then things aren't so flexible. The spiritual path is something we're doing. And even these teachings aren't things we should cling to. They're what's called skillful means. They're tools to point us in the right direction. All Buddhist teachings are tools to point us in the right direction, not things for us to cling to. So we need to hold them loosely. They're invented to help us on the path, and they are very useful for that, these teachings, but we shouldn't lose sight of what they're pointing to. There's a Zen story about a teacher saying, don't mistake the finger for the moon. And that is, the teacher's pointing at the moon and telling you to look at that, and then if you're staring at the teacher's finger, well, you've missed the point. That is used to encourage people to focus on what's being taught rather than the way it's being presented or the teacher. So these teachings aren't about the teachings, but they're about what the teachings can point you to. The moon, not the finger. Your true nature, which is connected to everything, which is fundamentally good, which is awake and aware. We could get stuck on peace and think that because everything's empty, nothing matters. We could get stuck on peace and think that we're better than people that don't practice too. We could start to look down on people who are living really worldly lives and indulging all the time, and who are going through life in an unmindful way. We could get stuck on peace and attach great importance to what we're doing when we're sitting in meditation, but also at the same time we could lose sight of trying to be awakened beings, trying to make the world a better place all the time, because that's what this is about. This isn't about being a good meditator. This isn't about being really attentive when you're listening to me either. It's about, what do you bring to the world around you? What do you bring to the world around you? And we could get attached to the relaxation we sometimes feel when we're meditating, and we could, in that way, lose sight of what we're trying to do. The path is not about peaceful feelings. Peaceful feelings are just a pleasant side effect that sometimes comes. The path is about the great matter. It's about putting down your baggage, seeing things as they really are, and helping ourselves and others. So we shouldn't let ourselves get distracted. I like to say, we aren't meditating to be really good at meditating. That doesn't make sense. We're meditating because we are awakened beings, and that's what awakened beings do. We're not meditating to be good at meditating. We're meditating to put down our baggage so that we're better people when we're not meditating. That's the point. What's sometimes called post-meditation practice or after meditation practice is just practicing in our lives to try to make the world and to try to make the world a better place and ourselves better people. The truth is that we aren't really trying to become more peaceful or happier or enlightened. It can be tempting to think that way, but it can also cause problems. We're not trying to become enlightened. We're not trying to become anything. Rather, we're trying to get rid of the baggage and the delusions and the neuroses that prevent us from realizing that we are enlightened. We are enlightened. It's our nature already. So the path isn't about getting anything. It's about getting rid of the things that don't work. So while I do want to encourage you to learn these teachings and try to embody them, also remember, hold on loosely. They're not rigid commandments that came from above that we need to just hold on to like this, you know. One of the key teachings in Buddhist ethics is be honest. Be honest, right? But at the same time, we have to hold on loosely to that teaching, because I think of like the people that were hiding Anne Frank in their attic, right? They were hiding Anne Frank and her family, right? They were hiding people from Nazis, and yes, they should lie if the Nazis come to look for them, right? So it's a way to think about this. This is all flexible. That said, though, that doesn't mean let yourself get away with something, you know? I'm going to lie because I feel like it today. Therefore, I can get around that being honest. Well, no, don't you know if you're letting yourself get away with something when it comes to ethics. You know. So, and you are the person you're accountable to. You are the person you're accountable to. So be accountable to yourself. But we need to recognize the spirit of things and not just cling like it's a rigid and strict rule. Okay? Okay. So that's it for today. This teaching was Don't Get Stuck on Peace. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Have a good day.